Adam, do you know what one of my favorite genres of videos is on YouTube?
Tell me, Jake.
Reaction videos. And the other day I watched a video. It showed up on my feed. The YouTube algorithm knew that I wanted to watch this video, and it was this one that we're about to watch right now. Our honest thoughts on the Wing console ... We're not fans by MXU. MXU. I was just talking to these guys earlier today. I should have got that clarified. But I want to react to this because I think this is a worthwhile conversation to have.
So this video our honest thoughts on the Wing console. We're not fans. We're not fans. ...
We're not. Yes, we're not. Yes, exactly. ... We're not fans. ... We're not fans of this. So
all right,
we're good. Let's just dive in. Let's take a look.
Hey everyone, I want to talk to you about the Behringer Wing console and my experiences using it over the course of about a week, learning how to use it, shooting tutorial videos, and just learning all the ins and outs of the console and what I think about it and what I think about churches buying it.
So just so everybody knows, we know Lee and Jeff at MXU. Great guys. We like them. Awesome resources. They have a great YouTube channel. Obviously, we're reacting to their YouTube video here. So carry on. Really nice studio too.
yeah.
I got to start with the things I didn't like about it. There's quite a list. So you're going to get a very unfiltered, unbiased review. Behringer did not send us this console. They are not paying us to do this video. It was actually sent to us.
And to make it clear, even though we like the Wing, we're big fans of the Wing. Behringer has nothing to like. They've contacted us, or someone there contacted us one time, be like, "Hey guys, would you like to try out new gear?" And we're like, "Sure." And then like we never heard back. Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
So,
it was kind of weird.
None of the gear we have are X32s, and we have no relationship with Behringer. Continue.
So we don't care about Behringer, but we're using their stuff.
Yep.
Our friends at Amplio Systems, they had one sitting on a shelf, and I called the guys and was like, hey, a ton of churches use those. What do you think? You send it to us and we'll shoot some videos. So that's where this came from.
Amplio, if you want to send us gear, you can send us gear as well.
They did send me, I've worn their hat in a lot of these videos that we've done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're even giving them free advertising here.
Yeah, come on, guys.
The biggest takeaway for me about this console is how hard it was to use. And I was a little thrown off by that because most consoles in this price range, so this Surface is about $3,000 without any stage racks. So there's a ton of consoles, kind of in that sector of the market. They're usually not very hard to use. But I think what happened was...
Okay. Okay. Well, there's a lot there. So, all right. We're only like a minute 30 in. But hard. So I actually would agree that the Wing takes some getting used to at first. So South Fellowship got this board back in almost a year ago, August of 2020, I think. And even at the time, I kind of thought it was overrated. And then, but once I started working at South Fellowship and we're making videos here, leading worship every Sunday, I had to use this console more, and we kind of did quite a bit of overhauling to the sound system, and I had to really get to know this console. And it was one of those things where it's like, at first it's like, wait, where's this? How does this all work? It's just kind of a whole new ecosystem. So I do agree with Lee here that like at first it is kind of hard to get, not hard to use, but hard to get used to.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I've said a few times is like, it's like going from Pro Tools to Ableton. It's like, oh, it's not what I'm used to. It's different. That doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
Or that it doesn't work well.
Yeah.
It's just different.
It's a new paradigm.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
I'm going to assume a lot here, okay? They wanted to pack so many features into this console that it was just not thought through very well. The biggest pain point to me is actually the poor design of the GUI, the graphic user interface. Just learning the flow of it is really clunky. It's not really thought through that well. I really believe that good design doesn't cost any more than bad design. When we're talking about budget-friendly consoles like this, of course you'd expect, the faders on this console to not be as nice of faders as you'd find on a Digico ST7. Like, no one's surprised by that, or the buttons. But with the GUI, it's just, man, it's very, very difficult to get it going. It took me about, I'd say probably an hour just to understand the workflow of the patching. So like, when you're using a piece.
Okay. So the GUI. I agree. Again, I agree with Lee. This is this shouldn't even be a reaction video. It's an agreement video until, I don't know, we come to different conclusions. But it is, again, it's not good design, bad design to me. It's different design. And I also think that, so I actually saw a commenter on this video raised a good point that they're like, it's almost like Behringer tried to blur the line between a DAW and a mixing console. That's what I kind of feel like the
when
Wing
this
is.
first came out, I was like, is this like geared towards live streaming, like mixing more like a DAW? Like, it didn't really, their advertising even kind of pushed it towards not being like a mixing console just for live use. It felt kind of like it's a DAW. And it does have DAW capabilities. You can like plug it in, hit DAW mode, be mixing in a DAW using the faders and stuff. But I don't know. I think he said an hour, like,
That's
to
pretty
figure it out.
quick.
Yeah. I mean, I've spent a lot more than an hour on it.
And
I'm still
maybe
learning
he's
stuff.
referring to like when you do go to maybe other brands like a Yamaha or Allen and Heath, like it's pretty, they all have kind of their standard, like let's say for patching, for routing, they have like their grid of like your ins and your outs and your whatever, your channels, your buses, and like it's a little bit more, there's kind of a industry standard of ways of visualizing these things. And I would agree, at first the patching on the Wing is like, wait, where am I supposed to click here to get my source from my snake to my channel? But then when you kind of get it and understand what they're trying to do, to me, I cannot stand using any other console. Like this SQ5 we're using right now, I can't stand it anymore after I'm like used to the Wing. And it's like, to me, it's like it's like being a Mac user versus a PC user or something like that. You just get so used to an operating system and you kind of pick which one you like and then you kind of go with it.
Yeah. All right.
Piece of software and everything's all new and something kind of clicks and you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. And you can kind of.
Yeah.
Exactly what you just said. This is definitely an agreement video.
Flow within
so far.
in the menus. It took about an hour for me to do that just inside the patching. And I've been doing this a long time. I've done this with a lot of consoles. It was pretty frustrating. Honestly, it was frustrating shooting all the videos that we did. Like we'd hit cut and I'd be like, it's kind of exhausting. Mixing on the console, different story. Once you get it set up, like it was fine. It has tons of features that no other console that I've seen so far has. Like it's got loads of modeled plugins that I think they did a decent job modeling. And you can put an 1176 as your onboard compressor, not a plugin, not an insert, the onboard. Same thing with the EQ. You want an SSL or an EV.
And I think I should clarify because it makes sense to me being someone that used that board. But like what he's saying there is like most consoles you have like your standard EQ. Like it's literally just a 5-band EQ and that's what you get to use for your EQ, or your compressor is just like it's got a threshold ratio, like attack release hold, like that's it. But what he's saying here is like instead of using an additional plugin, like it's an insert that you have to pick, you
like
only
one
get
of
so
your
many
effects,
of them.
one of your effects racks.
Yeah, this is like you can choose one of those compressors or EQs like in place of the standard Wing EQ.
Yeah.
So
and again, this is where I agree with Lee. Like this is amazing, and for the price, and that's one of my biggest things about the Wing. For $3,000, you cannot beat it.
Yeah.
You totally can't. We're not paid by Behringer or anything like that. But the features, we have all the consoles. I love the SQ5. Oh, actually, I'm loving the SQ5 less and less the more I use the Wing. But like, man, having those plugins, just on each channel, apart from your effects rack, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
EQ as the console, the channel EQ.
Oh, sorry, I missed something. He did say, like that it's easy. It's hard to set up, but it's easy to use. And I think one of his arguments might be like, if you're a volunteer, you like you don't want to figure out how to set this whole thing up. But if you're at a church and you're buying this for your church and you're the worship leader, you're the tech director, like it's your job to know the console and set it up.
Yep.
And teach other people how to use it. And if you're teaching other people how to use it, you're setting it up for the first time and they're mostly just mixing, like they don't have to know how to set up the board from scratch.
Exactly.
And he said it's easy to mix on.
And ideally, again, this is maybe different workflows people have week to week basis of like how your mixing console is prepped. Like, are you just waiting till Sunday morning at rehearsal to set up your console for your band that's coming in and like patching things? And actually, I still think that's plenty. Now, when you know the board, it's easy to do that if you only want to do it in 5 minutes. But I think there's also a important to have the right mindset about, okay, like we should be better prepared from a front of house audio point of view of making sure that, like, yeah, I have a volunteer who's going to run sound this service. They really just have to navigate faders and mute buttons and DCAs, and that's about it. They shouldn't have to be diving into patching and processing and a lot of crazy stuff like that. So really depends on who, like what your team looks like. You've got a paid tech director, sound engineer, got volunteers. To me, that argument is not a very strong one.
Yeah.
You can do that. A lot of people talk about this console because it's got built-in auto tune. It's not any good.
Oh, so I agree. It's not as good as like Antares auto tune or
Right.
Waves auto tune, but it is so this is another huge game changer because for those of us like leading in a small to mid-sized church context and we want to have a good solid front of house digital board, think about how much headache that auto tune plugin saves us from having to have outboard tuning. Where I made a video about this like probably almost 2 years ago now, where I just would send the audio through Ableton and the Waves real tune and back into the console, like basically like an insert effect. Multiple ways you can do that, but I'm really glad Behringer put it in here, even if it may not be as good as the Waves plugins or the actual auto tune plugin. And I don't know, man, you're listening more than I am now because I'm not hearing auto tune in my ear. We put the tap before that. Obviously, that'd be kind of weird if we did, but like as long as you're not super aggressive, as long as you're not trying to be like T-Pain or Madonna, or Drake, I think you're going to have some pretty good results for this, even in chromatic mode. Like, again, vocalists need to be singing close to on pitch, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, auto-tune doesn't make a bad singer good. It just like tightens up a good singer. Mm-hmm. And I've heard that. Like, I would rather use that auto-tune plugin than not have it.
I think his biggest beef, he'll say in a second, is the chromatic, being able to change keys. So that would be cool. I feel like that wouldn't be hard for Behringer to update that and be like, okay, here's your keys. Like A sharp, B, C, D, D sharp, whatever. That would be awesome. And then a way to also automatically change keys of all the auto-tune plugins. Like Behringer, if you're watching this, that's an easy update. It's going to make Lee happy.
Yeah. Well, I think you could even do that. There's he'll probably get into it later, or maybe it was in the training videos. There's like 1,000 user-defined keys. That's maybe an exaggeration, but there's like a lot. So you could very easily set up one button and hit all those.
Yep.
It doesn't have very many adjustments. You can't set the keys on it. So I actually don't think I would ever use it on any singer because it's just going to pull it to the closest note chromatically. It would be better used, I think, on a bass guitar or a synth, and somebody hits a wrong note. Actually, no, not a synth. Maybe a bass guitar, like something that's like kind of out of tune, but not really.
We've used it every week on 2 to 3 singers.
Yeah.
Again, it sounds fine to me when I was running front of house with it. Have you heard anything weird glitches or anything like that? Like nothing stands out?
No. And even when we do our broadcast mix, like I leave it on chromatic, and like
and not aggressive, like
right.
I don't know what the opposite word is of aggressive, but
passive. No, that's not it.
just an easy, easy going tuning.
Yeah,
it'd be great to lock it into keys every time, but again, if you have good in-ear monitoring, vocalists should be able to stay pretty darn close to the right pitch.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really it. Like I said, mixing on it, way different. If it's just walk up, everything's dialed in and mixing, that's a different story. But setting the
that's kind of the context that we use it in. like volunteers walk up and mix on it.
Yep.
Console up and like putting volunteers on it week in and week out that they may have to navigate some things in the menus. I don't know. I'm actually more of a fan of the M32, to be honest. I know that.
Oh, that's like, wait, let him finish that thought. We better interrupt him too soon.
Is a lot different, and the capabilities of the consoles are way different.
Yes.
This does a ton more.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, like, it's got to work. There were loads of bugs with the screen.
Okay. Let's go back to the statement about the M32 being preferable in his situation. I'd have to, Lee. I know I agreed with you a lot on this video up to this point, but this is where I'm like, no, in 2021, do not buy an M32 over a wing. As simple as that.
Done.
And then, what else did he just say?
He said buggy screen.
Oh, we didn't have, so
that was a unit thing.
Yeah, we heard that there were some units that had buggy screens and stuff. Ours hasn't. It's been working totally fine. It's kind of like when the X32 came out back in the day. I got one back in 2012, I think, when it was only a year or two old. Had some buggy faders and stuff like that. And then since then, though, like, I've rarely heard of those issues. Like, I think Behringer's pretty good at like getting those kinks worked out in manufacturing and solving those problems. So sorry, he got a lemon, or Amplio got a lemon in this case.
Yeah.
Using the latest firmware, 1.11. When we got the console, it was on 1.1 or 1.01 maybe, and there were still bugs with the screen. So I'm wondering if it's like a hardware thing. Like
probably is.
Different sections of the screen would just start.
I think someone from Behringer commented on this video.
Oh, okay.
Like clarifying that part of it.
They're selecting themselves when I wasn't even touching them. You'd have to power cycle the console, and sometimes that would fix it, sometimes it wouldn't. Now, compared to all the other consoles in that same price range, the Allen & Heath SQ series, the Persona Studio Live, the Yamaha TF, I'm probably missing a few. They're all within, 15 to 20% of each other in price range. So maybe $1,500 or so. If
or
you're
the same.
Dead set,
like this SQ5 we have here is $3,000. The wing, $3,000, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we can check that later, but I'm pretty sure they're all almost exactly the same.
On wanting to try this out, I think you should try some other stuff. Okay. Now, if you own one of these and I have horribly offended you because you guys love your Behringer
I am triggered and offended, Lee.
wing, then that's great. Okay. Lots of consoles have issues and bugs and quirks, but starting from scratch, I don't know that I would recommend a church, a bar, anywhere that is going to want one of these to just dive in and just go get it just from reading the reviews. I think
Do you have any reviews that you want to share with the wing users?
It's the best mixing console for the price out there. Like, to me, it's like, if your budget, you either have, like, most churches are getting going, like $3,000 is a pretty reasonable budget at this point for a brand new console, especially with 48 channels and all of the features it has. Go with the wing. I again, the only reason I'll go to SQ5 is if you already have a bunch of Allen & Heath IO and stuff like that.
If you have, and one of the things is he talks about there not being a stage box. Like, that's the price without a stage box. If you're already using an X32, you
already have stage boxes, probably, most likely.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the X32, M32 is great for that transitional console for churches that had really completely analog setups and they just wanted to swap it out, like, in 2 seconds and have a digital board without digital
because they have
audio routing.
They have the analog eye on the back.
Yeah. So this is, here's my thing. I would, again, this is after, like, we have used this console for, I've been here since January or February. So February, March, April, May, 4 full months. And the more time I spend on the console, the more I actually really, really like it. Like, even when you're poking around and raging things, it's like, oh, I didn't even know it did that. We did a complete system retuning with it, built out all of our channel arrangements and the mix buses and all that stuff, the effects. You got it all organized, working on our new course about, well, this is one of the consoles we cover in it, But I don't know. To me, I think it's the best one to go for that price range. To me, it's like if you have $3,000, get a wing. If you have $8,000 or to $10,000, get a Allen and Heath Avantis or something like that. And then if you have more money than that, you're just wasting money on more mixing capability than you actually need.
Yeah. Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the features of it, like specifically, like how many more like buses this has, like the flexibility of it. I mean, there's just so much of it.
We need to do a video on it in there now that we have it set up the way we like it.
Yeah.
An in-depth, we're call it our honest thoughts on the wing console. We're fans.
There you go. We should let him finish. What else you got, Lee?
Okay.
You're going to turn it on and find some things that are really frustrating. But then once you start mixing, you may be like, wow, I've always wanted a distressor on my snare drum. And I had too. And it sounded awesome. You can go watch the video for yourself. So it's like, mixing, lots of fun. Setup, not fun at all. Lots of quirks, and it looks like, with each firmware, more stuff comes out. I actually found out more about this console on Reddit than I did Behringer's website because the documentation is so bad.
That's true.
There's no user manual. There's a quick start manual, but that's about it. So hopefully with our videos, you're going to learn a lot, but like the super in-depth, like level 300 stuff on this console, you kind of just have to fend for yourself. Even some of the power users online and forums that I was searching, there are buttons in the menu that they would write in their diagnostics. I don't know what this feature does. I can't figure it out. So there's lots of stones left unturned that I think Behringer has even yet to discover or tell us what they are. So that's about it. I know that's super raw, super honest. Like I said, if you have one, great. If you're getting great results with it, that's awesome. More power to you. But if not, and you're considering this, there's a lot of other consoles I think you should consider.
I don't think there's other consoles you should consider in that price range. Oh man. So that's it. At the end of the day, for $3,000, I think you get so many features, so many channels, so many buses, so many effects, all the auto-tune, integrating with a lot of AS50 stuff you probably already have. And I just think that Behringer is trying to change what it means to be a mixing console.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't like stick to the standards.
Mm-mm.
I mean, a lot of other boards have the stereo faders. Like, it was nice that they like finally made that a thing, but they even like went a step further and was like, we're gonna make every channel assignable.
Yep.
Like, their old routing was so outdated and like you couldn't do anything with it. Like, even their user patching that they came out with in firmware 4 for the X32, it kind of helped, but it's like, it's still not the same.
Yeah.
And then this is literally any fader can be any channel, any bus, any DCA, like way more flexible than.
Yeah. Well, even that's one of the hard things that took me a while to get used to was the paradigm of my sources are separate from channels. Like, in terms of, I mean, they always have, but the way your channels like are their own thing, and then you can just go and assign whatever AES50 source, USB source, Dante source, well, eventually Dante, anything, right? And then it's like, then you can configure the channels, and then then eventually you can say what you want those channels to be or where you want those channels to be on the faders. It's almost to the point where like it's really just a like the labels of the different banks of faders, like channel 1 through 12 or whatever, 13 through whatever, 24. Like, you don't even need those labels on there because it's really a completely configurable board. Yeah. Like moving the things. I actually wish they would just like say be labeled like bank 1, bank 2, bank 3, bank 4, or whatever. And then so in our setup we have the labeled channel 1 through 48. Pretty much we have the channels laid out in a way that's intuitive for us to easily find a channel and stuff like that. And then the user channels are what we use on a week to week for like whoever's running sound. Whoever's running sound can easily like just drag in their channel to the fader, and it's super simple to do. Yeah. So we'll have to talk more about it and make another video when we're at the console, but I wanted to react to this one because hopefully now if someone watches that video, this one will be recommended after it, just so you get both sides of the debate. So like I understand all of Lee's like concerns about the console. I think if he used it more, I think he'd like it more.
Yeah, I mean he's mixing day in and day out. Like I think he usually uses Yamaha stuff.
He probably uses a big boy console. Yeah.
So maybe PM7 or something, but he's like mixing on this specific console, like, and he was touring, so he's like, doing that, like,
Yeah.
like he just kind of, I don't know if he got to spend as much time on this board, and why would he? Like with the churches that he's mixing at or the tours he's doing. Whereas I just think that we've had more time on it.
Yep.
So,
And I would like to make a wager that in 10 years, this thing is going to be just as popular as the X32. Like,
hopefully more popular.
hopefully more popular. Yeah, maybe the adoption might be a little bit slower because like people can still get by just fine on the X32. But man, having those channels, the buses, all that stuff, it's huge. So we've been talking about this plenty long enough. Guys, go check out MixU, their YouTube channel. They got some great stuff there. And remember, we do this in good fun. It's just fun to hope maybe they'll make a reaction to our reaction video. Who knows? But
yeah.
this video is too long for them to do that anyway. It's going to be like an hour long.
I love learning from Lee. I've learned from him at different events and watching videos of him and stuff.
Yeah.
Good guy.
Yep. So thank you guys for watching. Check out the resources down below this video. See you next time.